Have you ever started something with full enthusiasm? Woke up earlier, made plans, felt that exciting flutter in your stomach, like you just knew something special was about to happen. But over time, the excitement turned into doubt. The doubt turned into fear. And before you realized it, you had stopped. Or worse, you just stood by and watched. You saw the opportunity pass, wanted to try, but froze. You felt like you weren't capable, that it wasn't the right time. Maybe it just wasn't meant for you. And so that idea that once lit up your eyes became just another thought shoved into a drawer. But what if I told you that failing while trying is not failure? That falling along the way doesn't mean you're weak? The real failure is never moving at all. It's letting fear make your decisions. It's abandoning your dreams while they still breathe inside of you, just asking for one chance. And today might be the day everything starts to change. Because the finish line doesn't demand perfection. It only demands that you don't stop. Some people are simply brilliant at the start. They dream big, take notes, build spreadsheets, share ideas with friends, and begin with that spark in their eyes. Everything seems possible until the first obstacles show up. An unexpected criticism, a silly mistake, a delay in the plan, and that quiet voice begins to whisper, "You're not good enough. It's going to go wrong. Better quit now than be embarrassed later." That voice doesn't shout. It whispers. And that's exactly why it's so convincing. The truth is many incredible people freeze, not because they lack talent, but because they have too much insecurity. They don't fail because they're incapable. They just believe they are. And this is the key point of our conversation. Did you know the force that truly changes the course of a story has nothing to do with physical strength or how many resources someone has? There's an invisible force, quiet yet powerful, that turns fear into movement. It's the kind of strength that doesn't show in the eyes of onlookers, but ignites within the one who chooses to keep going. And that's the force we're talking about today, because it might just be the very thing you need to rediscover. Doing something great requires more than talent. It requires presence, consistency, courage. And courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward with fear walking beside you. But here's something few people talk about. Doing nothing is also a choice. And that silent choice comes with a high cost. You get stuck in cycles of frustration, postponed promises, wasted potential. The fear of failure paralyzes. And when paralysis sets in, life doesn't freeze. It keeps going, just without you in control. And little by little, time passes, chances shrink, and the pain of not having tried starts to weigh more than any mistake you could have made. It's like the story of the wagon train crossing the plains in search of gold, a time when every decision was a matter of life or death. And even then they sang, "The coward never left the ground, the weak died along the way, only the strong reached the end." This wasn't about blind bravery or heroism. It was about determination, about continuing when the conditions weren't perfect, about moving forward with no guarantees. And life works the same way. The strength that takes someone to the end of a dream isn't physical, it's inner strength. It's built when you learn to silence the voices that pull you backward and start listening to the one that whispers, "Keep going, just one more step." This strength comes from the spirit. Not a mystical, abstract spirit, but a practical one trained in faith, consistency, and trust. When you draw near to God, not just in theory, but for real, He gives you something no one else can. The will to not give up, the clarity to see a new path, and the wisdom to turn even your stumbles into lessons that make you stronger. According to human behavior experts, most people who postpone important decisions aren't lazy. What they actually carry is fear disguised as apathy, fear of failure, fear of trying and being criticized, fear of discovering that maybe they're not as good as they thought. That's why procrastination isn't simply a lack of willpower. It's the brain's defense mechanism trying to protect you from the pain of possible failure. But here's where spiritual psychologists and Theologians have been placing more and more emphasis. When a person reconnects with God, with purpose, with real and lived faith, something shifts inside. That connection doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives meaning to the journey. It transforms doubt into discernment, stumbles into learning. And the inner voice that once said, "You can't do this," is replaced by a quiet presence saying, "I'm with you. Keep going." And this isn't mysticism. It's applied spiritual neuroscience. Studies show that consistent practices like prayer, biblical meditation, and sincere communion activate areas of the brain tied to resilience, decision-making, and confidence. In other words, faith isn't an escape from reality. Faith is the fuel that helps you face it with courage. Lean on God, but not as someone hiding behind Him, rather as someone being propelled with Him, because God isn't calling you to stop halfway. He gives you clarity to see the next step, wisdom to decide firmly, courage to keep going when everything seems to fall apart, and the strength you need, the kind that rises from within, to finish what you started. And when fear shows up, because it will, you'll remember you're not walking alone. You're walking with Him. The Bible doesn't romanticize the journey. It shows real paths of real people who felt fear too, but chose to go anyway. And that's why the words of Philippians 3:13 are so powerful. Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. In other words, it doesn't matter how many times you stopped or how many times you thought of quitting. What matters is that today you can choose to start again, and not just to restart, but to go all the way. So take a deep breath, lift your head, and take the next step, because the strength is already inside you. You just have to choose to use it. If this message spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who also needs to take that next step. Leave a comment below saying, "I'm going all the way," as your personal commitment to this new journey. And if you want more content that strengthens your faith and mind, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because here, you don't walk alone. Here, you're reminded every single day that it's still not too late to win.